Here we have set up the solo variant for Karuba. You set it up just like you would the base game, except for a few small changes. Let's take a look at those changes. Lay out the 4 game boards in the following arrangement. Place 2 tile sets into a draw bag and shuffle them completely, giving you a pool of 72 pieces to draw from. Randomly place the 4 colored cubes along the right edge of the game board. Take the 4 adventures and line them up along the left edge of the game board in the same color order as the 4 cubes. Now you need to roll the D12 and D10 to place the adventurers along the game board edge. You will start with the topmost adventurers and placing them along the left and or bottom edge of the game board. First, roll the D10, and based on your roll, count down from the top left corner along the edge to the numbered rolled. Place the topmost adventurer along the left edge of the game board on the degree number. Now roll the D12, and based on the number rolled, count to the right from the lower left corner along the bottom edge of the game board to the number rolled. Place the second adventurer on that degree number. Repeat the steps until all adventurers are placed. Take the 4 temples and line them up and place them just as you did the adventurers. Now create a face-up stack for each temple treasure color. They should be sorted in descending order from values 5, 4, 3, and 2. Take a D4 and roll it. Based on the number rolled, count to the number rolled from stack to stack. With the first stack, take the number 5 counter and remove the rest. Roll again and count down the stacks with the number rolled. Take the number 4 counter and remove the rest. Repeat this step for the remaining 2 stacks, taking the 3 and number 2 counters from the stacks and removing the rest. These 4 colored counters are the treasure values you can obtain when your adventurer reaches the matching temple color. Now that we've looked at the setup changes, let's take a look at the rule changes. Solitaire Karuba is played using all 72 tiles. Each tile will either be placed on the game board or used for movement. Once all the tiles have been removed from the draw bag, the game ends. The game is played with the highest score in mind, but there are a number of conditions that must be met to have your score even count. The first condition is you must create a connecting path to all of our zones. This means you must create a path that goes from zone 1 and connects to zones 2 and 3, from zone 2 that connects to zones 1 and 4, from zone 3 that connects to zones 1 and 4, and from zone 4 that connects to a path in zone 2 and 3. You must also create a connecting path from each adventurer to the temple of that adventurer's color. So you should have 4 connecting paths from each adventurer to each temple. These paths can also be part of the connecting paths through the other zones. If at the end of the game these 2 conditions are met, you can count up your total score. If you do not meet those conditions, you lose the game and your score doesn't count. Each turn you draw a tile from the bag and have the choice of either laying the tile on the game board or discarding it to move your adventurer. The rules from the base game still apply, except that when you discard a tile and count out the number of paths leading from that tile, you can spend those movement points out to all the adventurers or just one adventurer. If you decide to use all the movement points from a single adventurer, that adventurer must be the top position color matching cube of the 4 colored cubes on the right edge of the game board. If it does not match, you cannot move this adventurer using all the movement points from the tile discarded. Once you've moved the adventurer, you must then move the corresponding colored cube to the bottom of the row of colored cubes. This adventurer can't move by using all the movement points until it reaches the topmost position of the colored cubes again. If you decide to spread out the movement points to all the adventurers, you can allocate the movement points across all available adventurers as long as you don't give all the movement points to one adventurer in this process. Any adventurers who have already reached the temple can no longer be considered as moving adventurers. What did I like? The grandness of it. You're playing two sets of tiles across all four boards. When compared to the base game, the variant expands the experience, which is needed to make this a viable solo play. I also like the victory conditions. I'm always a fan of a game that requires you to hit certain check marks before scoring. It forces you to play evenly with your strategy. What didn't I like? Besides a handful of starting locations for your adventure or temple, you're going to follow a basic design plan for each time you play the variant. That could end up hurting the replayability. Overall, this variant makes the game feel good enough to hold its own as a solid experience. Between the victory conditions, the adjusted movement mechanic, and the management of the tiles as almost a set of resources, you have enough decisions to bring it back to the table for a quick tile laying adventure.
Hey, I'm Hans, and if you like what you saw, go ahead and click subscribe below, and good things will happen for you forever.